This week on Deeper Cuts, we sat down with Johnny Oro while he was working on a French set ring. Johnny is one of our instructors here at the training center and also the owner of a family jewelry store in Minneapolis called Diamonds Direct. Let's get to work. Welcome. We're going to ask you a bunch of questions to get to know you, and then we're going to do rapid fire questions.
Okay,
So,
I like that.
yes. Don't worry about your last answer, okay?
Oh, all right.
You answer how you want,
All right.
no matter what you've been told. Okay, anyhow, tell us first what you're doing here under the microscope.
So today we're going to do a French set ring. It'll be something that anyone can recognize from the work that I do, and it's something that is my bread and butter at my workshop.
Yeah, anytime somebody asks me about a French set, I'm like, go check out Johnny's page.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so cliff notes of how you got into the industry.
My family business has been around since I was born. So from a young age, my dad would bring me to the jewelry store, and they had goldsmiths in the back room, and my dad was always saying, don't bother the goldsmiths, they're busy, there's dangerous things in there. So there's obviously chemicals and sharp things, so it does make sense to keep a kid, it's like 6 out of there. So but I was always curious, like, how does the wax turn into gold, and it was always one of those things that, yeah, exactly. I didn't know anything about it, and one of the goldsmiths, she would let me play with her little Pac-Man game before Game Boy, and so that's why the Pac-Man loop that I made was kind of nostalgic of the jewelry industry.
Very
because
cool.
It was around the family workshop. So it's always been there, and I actually worked in juvenile probation for 3 years. I got deployed to Iraq, got home, and I just decided it was time for a career change and something less stressful. So I just decided to look into becoming a jeweler after my sister Naomi recommended, I think you'd make a good jeweler. It just made sense, and actually in hindsight it's always 20/20, but I didn't think of it when I was young. It was just something I returned to kind of later on in life.
What was your biggest takeaway from being in the family business?
Yeah, it's exactly where I want to be. You work in a stress-free environment with happy people and eat lunch with your family every day. It's a great environment to live in, and really awesome. I'm very fortunate.
What pushed you to get training outside of your family business?
Well, when I was looking for a career change, my relationship with an Italian kind of allowed me to look at, Italy as an option. And my dad knew of Vicenza, and he said you should look at, see if there's any bench schools over there. So I went to, Vicenza to visit, and also looked at the schools that they had there. And they did have 2 government schools, or 1 government school and 1 private school that taught goldsmith techniques. And so I did my base goldsmith course there in Vicenza. And when I started to do the stone setting class, we had to make our own gravers, and we did everything, with hand push. And then I discovered, engraving, because we would engrave these little shapes and everything. And then I quickly was like, this is like drawing in metal. This is really cool. I love this. And then I started to learn more about engraving, and my stone setting professor was an engraver and stone setter. So he encouraged me to look at Sam Alfano's, Engravers Cafe blog, to look at, Fracassi, the engravers in Brescia, that's really close to Vicenza. Amazing engravers that like your other engravers' jaws are on the floor looking at that. And I believe that's where Sam also did his training in the 80s with Fermo. So it was just around you everywhere. And in Italy, there's a ton of inspiration, and it just really inspired me to be like, well, you know, this is where I want to be. I want to learn engraving. So I asked my stone setting professor if he would take me on as an apprentice, and he agreed. So I did a 1.5-year apprenticeship with him, and about a year into my apprenticeship, I made plans to go to Alexander School after I had seen the YouTube video that they put out, and I was just mesmerized, and I was like, I have to go to this. So, and it was, the way I discovered it was on Sam Alfano's blog, Engravers Cafe, and it said something to the effect of, if you want to be a world-class diamond setter, this is the place to go. And so I was just hooked, and I wanted to go. And I made the plans to go. At that time, I was one of 2 other students that were in the 3-month course. So there wasn't that many. And it was 2015. And actually, a weird circumstance happened where Ben came to visit, like when I was there as a student, and we just said like hello to each other, and that was like it. But I heard him and Alex talking, and I was like, man, this guy's so young. Like, and he was talking about that he had just gotten done doing a trade show, and I believe he had just gotten off of working for Alex for like over a year. And that was my introduction to seeing, you know, Ben, and obviously you see he did the handpiece that was the birds, and it was just like, whoa, that's so cool. So it inspired me to also like see what I can do, you know, and to bring myself to the next level. And I finished the Alexander School with about like 3 weeks remaining before my end date. And so I had some gold pieces that I had brought from my father's workshop. I had 2 signet rings. I had a gold cross that I had sawn out, and I was doing a few things with Alex. He was showing me the lettering that he could do 0.5 millimeter lettering just by hand. And so all those things were really like inspirational to me, and I just loved the whole time that I was there. It was just like, I didn't want to leave. But yeah, I went back to Italy, and then I started working right away. I just bought an air compressor, and I found work in Vicenza just by word of mouth. So yeah, and I started working as a diamond setter, and I would hand engrave as well. I quickly found out that if you aren't Italian, you know, it's difficult to do business with Italians because you don't speak perfect Italian, or you don't speak dialect, and it was tough. So
you picked up Italian though, didn't you?
Of course, yeah. All my schooling was in Italian, and for the first few months of living in Italy, I was like terrified of the train station. I couldn't like do anything on my own. And when I started the schooling, I had my Italian to English dictionary like on my bench at all times, and so I would like look things up, because that was before like Google Translate, and I could just like.
What was the first word that you learned that you were like, this is a necessity, I need to know?
I probably can't say it. But yeah, the bad words are what you always learn first, right? Yeah, so when I just decided to like go to the school, it was just you know, kind of on a whim that I hope this works, and it really was awesome, because after I did Alexander School, I got to see the happy medium of the new tools that I got to learn with Alexander, the microscope, the GRS equipment.
Traditional.
And then I was able to bring that old school way of the Italian methods of making everything, you know, from wire and from sheet metal, and then, you know, the different sort of techniques that they use. I was able to find a nice happy medium to kind of bring the two together and build my own style.
Do you feel like that kind of sets you apart from other jewelers, or impacts your work in any
I think
way?
it's brought me in an interesting direction that it was less traditional for me not to go to goldsmith school in the United States. So it definitely influenced me at a very early part of my life and my career. Being a foreigner in another country, learning about a whole different history of a country that you're living in, and just the art that was surrounding you at all times is just mesmerizing. And when I went to Florence for the first time, that's when I started to see a lot of the Florentine finish jewelry, and so I started to want to incorporate that into my work. And there's so many cool things that you can do with contrasting finishes, and I think it's fun to throw in engraving and stone setting together. That's what I do a lot of. Is I'll try to combine the two of them.
Okay, so what has been your biggest takeaway from being an instructor yourself?
Managing expectations has been a big one of students, because a lot of people, they want to just run right away, and we got to go through that crawl and walk stage before we can run. So people get very excited, and I feed off that enthusiasm, and then I've found very quickly that you can dial up the difficulty level too fast, and that overwhelms students. So just knowing how to manage expectations and knowing how to encourage without, giving...
How to read your students.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How to read your students and just see who they are and where they want to go.
Yeah.
And trying to help them meet those goals.
Yeah. Would you say that's your biggest piece of advice for someone just starting off, is like have patience with yourself, or what would your advice be for someone who's just
I think you have to be patient, and even if you're not able to get your stride as quickly as you want it to happen, it will happen eventually. You just have to be patient and just continue to put in the time into the honing your craft and becoming better and challenging yourself, because too often we get really just comfortable in where we are, and we don't really seek out that next level without a little gentle push. And I think in the jewelry industry especially, depending on where you are, you might think that the grass is greener on the other side if you want to work for someone else, or if you want to continue working where you're at, and it's up to you to make that decision. But if you don't feel challenged in what you're doing, find a way to challenge yourself on your own time. I know it's hard, because when I was in Italy, I didn't have a TV. My goldsmith bench was like my entertainment. So like when I would get home, I would eat dinner, and then I would have an evening of just engraving or working on something, and it was just so relaxing. Time would just melt away, and I would just immerse myself in whatever I was doing. So
I was laughing because do I challenge you when you come here?
No, not in that
there's
way.
This Molly
not
chick
at
again.
all. No, I thoroughly enjoy when we hang out.
Well, you're obligated to say that while I'm here. Anyhow, my next thing for you is, what's a really good resource that you can give someone starting off? I know that you post a lot on social media, and I think it's had a big impact on a lot of people. What's something that you would recommend people check out?
I am overwhelmed by the amount of information that is on Instagram and on YouTube, and it's just getting better and better. And I think the trade started off, my father's generation was very hush-hush. I'm not going to tell you how to do anything, because then you're going to take money out of my pocket. And then
Competition.
I'll be the engraver, not the only engraver in town that can get your job done. But now it's the case where if you don't teach me, I can just go learn from a bunch of other places. So I think the amount of information sharing is so awesome to see right now. And I bet if you would talk to some of the earlier engravers, like Sam, like Lane Zolke, you would find that they would probably tell you right now is the best time to become a jeweler and engraver, because there are so many people that are anxious to go out there and help you.
Yeah.
And just by contacting a jeweler in your local area, I'm sure you can find probably someone that's willing to help you.
Well, and wouldn't you say that all of this wealth of information and how it pushes other people forward, like it challenges you to keep your game up too?
Yeah, of course. No, the thing is I teach students how to do the French set rings, and the more people that are making French set rings the way I do, I see job security in my mind, because that's going to make more people want to get rings from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did becoming a gemologist impact you as a bench artist?
It was such a interesting sort of world that I just had no clue about any of it. And when I went to GIA to become a gemologist, I didn't realize how much it would actually help me as a diamond setter, because I was able to recognize when I saw a gemstone that had a surface reaching fracture, and I wanted to be careful not to set the prong on top of it, because what do people tell you? Like, oh, make sure you hide the inclusion, under a prong. Well, that depends on what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. So these sorts of things help you as a diamond setter and as a stone setter, and it will definitely save you a heartache if you did something that you shouldn't have, just because you're not aware of the limitations.
My last question for you.
Before rapid fire?
Do you want to do rapid fire now, or do you want your last question?
Let's do rapid fire, and then we'll end on a question.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite graver?
Angolette, number 4.
How many pieces of pizza could you eat in one sitting?
Probably the whole pizza.
Ooh, what kind of pizza?
Margarita.
Margarita pizza? All right, I wasn't expecting that one. Mm-hmm. What is the perfect number of hours at the bench?
2.
Favorite guilty pleasure? I can't even say them fast. Favorite guilty pleasure?
Just like, I don't know, like eating too much and hanging out with friends. Isn't that like what everyone wants?
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Do you watch reality TV?
Nope.
Are you lying?
No.
This is the one that doesn't matter what you say. Okay, answer honestly.
I really don't watch reality TV.
No. Who's your favorite staff member at GRS?
Oh, gotta be Molly.
Yeah! We're ending it on that one. We're not continuing.
We're not continuing.
Well, thanks for talking with us, Johnny. We'll let you continue to work.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate getting to know you a little bit better.
Thank you so much.